welcome back. As we prepare for Gravitas versus Direwolves, we're going to prepare to help the fans, because this, of course, is the Nick bag.
I just realised you have two mouths.
Huh?
What?
That nose is a mouth. It's a beak.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
My God.
It's because you talk so much.
Thanks, Dad.
You're too new to make that joke. No, I'm kidding. All right, Nick bag. First one, Mr. Nifty. Is it still breakfast if you wake up at 6 p.m. and eat shortly after? Is breakfast time related, or is it just the first meal of the day?
It's the first meal of the day. It's when
Yeah.
you break your fast.
Yeah.
Next question. This one sucks.
That's a very literal, like, breakfast is breaking fast. So yeah.
But then what's lunch?
What do you mean? That's just a, yeah.
It's just you need a top
So
up.
if you have lunch at midnight, like if you have breakfast at 6 p.m., lunch at midnight.
Well,
and then
no, all
dinner
I'm
for
saying
breakfast.
is like the definition of breakfast
I don't want to hear
is
your
to
definitions.
break
I want to
your
hear
fast.
I want to hear your comedy
and you
answers.
fast
Lunch-
throughout the night
lunch
because
can
you're
be
asleep.
breakfast.
Okay, that's interesting. Huh?
Lunch can be breakfast, right?
The meal that you eat at lunch can be breakfast.
Yeah, if you're breaking your fast with it.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. All right. Well, I didn't expect such relentless logic this early.
I just got O2'd, Nick.
I
You're
know.
going to have to do more to cheer me up for this.
Oh, we can feel it. At In Search of Shoe, because, so last time, I don't know if you remember, In Search of Shoe needed some advice on how to get belongings back
From, yeah.
a boyfriend
Yep.
before you broke up. And then now she writes in and says, how many days after a breakup is it appropriate to download Tinder?
Oh,
Straight away.
hours.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Minutes, maybe.
If you followed my advice that I told you last week, which was to stay in the house, pretend you left, sneak into a cupboard, and wait until he falls asleep, you would have spent like 6 or 7 hours in a cupboard. I would have been on Tinder during that point, right?
I mean,
Don't you just download every dating app and then just...
Is it different? I mean, I guess it's different for a breakup as opposed to a dumping, right?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think it depends what kind of person you are. Because
Well,
I think
clearly
regardless...
she's someone who's fine to air these grievances
Yeah.
on stream.
I mean, maybe a surprise dumping. Do they
Yep.
exist? Like a stealth surprise dumping where you have absolutely no idea and just
Oh, totally.
blammo, like the person's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's like one of the cases. But I would assume if your relationship is coming to an end, Nick, you would have seen some red flags, at least upon
Yeah, you'd think
reflection.
so. Yeah.
And you might have emotionally already been checked out, especially if you were breaking up with the person.
That's interesting.
Because that's how you shield yourself from getting more hurt.
What, immediately jump into another relationship?
No, you shield yourself emotionally by checking out a
Oh,
little bit
right, right,
before
right.
you
Oh,
break
yeah,
up.
yeah,
You don't do it like
yeah.
immediately once you've like made up your mind.
I
So
think-
I'm assuming like a little bit of shield going on,
Mm-hmm.
and then Tinder is like the way that you first open up a little crack in that shield to let more people in.
Phrasing.
I guess the question for me is like, is it inappropriate to download Tinder right away? That's how I see it.
Yeah,
'Cause,
yeah.
If the answer to that is no, then the answer is whenever you want.
All right.
Have
Go.
Tinder during your relationships.
Yeah, spice it up a little bit. Come on. Maybe this is why it collapsed in the first place. All right.
All I'm saying is, just because you made dinner doesn't mean you don't have any other food in your fridge.
Or fridges.
Wow.
You're going to have fridges
That's
filled
an
with more
analogy
food.
right there.
I don't know where the metaphor is going. All right, we need to move on before we get cancelled. At Mouse Droid says Freddo Frog versus Caramello Koala.
Freddo Frog.
Who would win?
Oh, in a what?
Oh.
That's yeah. You're asking me. I don't know.
I mean, I'm assuming that the question is who would win in a competition to not melt the quickest. And as Freddo Frog is solid chocolate, it has more density and therefore takes longer to melt completely.
Interesting. I was assuming it was urban warfare.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was
These
thinking
guys
fight to the
come to
death.
life?
Yeah.
Because
well,
wait, they're both
frog?
Cadburys, right?
No, frogs have to win this.
Yes. Why?
Because he's an amphibious creature. He can survive on both land and sea.
Yep.
Koala.
Yep.
So it depends on choice of battlefield.
Naval combat.
Yeah,
Frogs
if there's
got it.
ponds
Versus
around
aerial.
and stuff,
Yeah.
the frogs have got this covered.
Uh-huh.
But if it is purely the harsh Australian outback,
Yep.
then the koala's got it covered because I don't think there's enough moisture for the frog to live.
Yeah,
I
okay.
need to think about this.
What if
some
we're
more.
in a parallel universe? We go to the Cadbury factory, they make life-size versions of both of these, and just fight it out like
And
Mechagods.
give them guns.
Yeah, they're just punching on.
Well,
like an
neither of them
absolute
can
brawl.
use guns because they're
Well, it's here.
A, webbed feet,
It's like
not
who
good for
gets-
pulling triggers.
Who gets diabetes
So,
first?
Helite says, my boy Caramello has this covered. Emerald says, Koala would just fall asleep during the flight. Caramello, easy clap. Aussie Kent just doesn't like us, but that's fine. My question is it equal in terms of the same amount? Because if it's the same amount of them, right?
One horse-sized caramello koala versus 100 duck.
Well, like if it's 100
frogs?
caramello koalas versus 100 Freddo frogs, then the koalas win.
Why?
Not only do they outlive the frog, like koalas definitely live longer than frogs. They can stay up high, out of range, and throw things down at the frog.
But frogs can climb, and they can jump, and they're very maneuverable.
But what are they going to do
What do you
against
mean?
a koala?
Most
What-
of the time,
one
they're
koala versus
poisonous.
one Freddo frog.
Most, like some frogs are poisonous. Just a mere touch from some frogs is
Yep.
enough to kill Nick.
A koala?
I don't know.
Loki Cat says koala has claws.
That they don't use. They just pee on you.
Kiba AU says Caramello Drop Bear wins easy clap. Koalas win easy clap. Frogs can be poisonous.
Yeah.
Koala pops the frog. See, I'm with Chauncey over here.
Koala might give all the frogs chlamydia.
So I think you've given an unfair advantage to the koalas as well, Nick.
Yeah, you
Because
gave them
said
the
that they're
terrain
gonna
advantage.
Climb trees.
Yep.
But, like, what's to stop the frogs from just stalemating by being in the water?
Yeah, being underwater.
Oh,
So
that's
you have to
interesting.
meet in land.
Okay, so we are removing natural terrain. We are saying this is like
the Matrix.
the
in a
Battle of the
vacuum.
Bastards.
They're in an arena.
Or the Matrix. Yeah, it's arena warfare.
An arena
Okay,
warfare.
frogs
It's
are 100
imagine some
win.
sort of cockfighting ring, if you will.
Yeah.
And we instead of the birds, we put in two.
Nick, I don't even know what a
chocolate
cockfighting
animals.
ring looks like. I'm out of this conversation. Next question.
So what happens then? So you're saying the frog
This is poisonous and just
spits its spit into
no,
the
just
koala's
touches
mouth?
it. Like
It jumps to
this,
the koala's back
Yep.
and goes bam.
and you just go.
I mean, biological warfare is by far the most dangerous. Frogs have got this covered.
Well, no,
frogs win.
and koalas have it covered because they're disease-ridden.
Oh, this is everyone.
The
dies.
rats of the trees.
No one wins.
Okay.
It's the viewers.
Poisonous frog jumps into koala's back and kills koala. Yeah. Okay. So we're going with
Frog then contracts chlamydia, goes home for like celebratory ritual,
downloads Tinder
infects
for
all the
frogs.
other frogs in the pond.
Yeah.
All frogs die. Koalas
So-
lose battle, win war.
It's almost a mutually assured destruction.
Correct.
In that scenario.
Except
Okay. Cool.
Freddo frogs taste better than caramello koalas, which is the real answer.
Oh.
Freddo frogs do, bro.
No.
Disagree.
You have two flavors versus one boring flavor.
Yeah, I'm a very boring flavor person. It's just.
God bless you, Russ.
the way I am.
I was told to move on. You guys can wait. Both have extreme bioweapons. There would be no winner. I'm pretty sure the fur would not let the poison in, says Chauncey.
That's
and then
absolutely
Ender
incorrect.
Squad says koala has late game scaling.
Yeah, well, Order had late game scaling last two games as well.
That's true, and it just didn't help. You got to throw some frogs into that team. All right, it is time to move on to game 2. Oh my God! Out of all those questions, I can't believe the Freddo Frog Caramello Koala one is the one that just stuck.
Really? I knew that was going to be the one.
Very exciting. It is Gravitas versus the Direwolves. Let's talk through the Gravitas lineup, Jake. Shake
See
it.
which one they actually bring. It's going to be Boots in the top lane, Prayless in the jungle's Human, the Long One, aka Prowler, in AD carry, and K-pop as support. Omo is their coach, very well-spoken man. And this is a lineup that needs to bounce back after a pretty disappointing game yesterday versus Mammoth.
Yeah, giving Mammoth their first win of the season, and it was a convincing win by Mammoth, so that's always not a positive sign if you are a Gravitas fan. However, they bring the Long One back in. We've had a pretty decent first showing, so looking forward to see how he goes in his second game.
Arraic one says poison must be ingested, and then Montanez says frog jumps on koala, koala rolls over, frog gets squished. Frog sizes up, koala stands on it, frog gets squished. Frog jumps at koala, koala swats it, frog gets eviscerated. No scenario does frog win.
This guy's put
You
so much effort
honestly
into
think
it.
koalas are so much quicker than what koalas are. You know that the eucalyptus in koala has the same effect on them
Yeah.
as what
Something else would have effect on a bigger
I love how he
beast.
stops himself.
Correct.
Yeah,
Cat eyes.
but-
it makes them very drowsy and get bloodshot eyes and want to eat cookie dough from the packet, is all I'm saying, Nick. So
But
no one is winning a fight in that
He
situation.
wants some orange juice
he
afterwards.
does. He does. The only thing I say, if we're putting them in some sort of gladiatorial scenario, surely there's a training regime going on. The koala has been
Clean.
for at least 2 weeks. It is battle
Doesn't
ready.
even pass the piss test. That's
ready
all
to
I'm
fight.
saying.
Well, it certainly doesn't pass the piss
That was
test
so
because
well
it's
done,
riddled
just-
with chlamydia. All right, it is time to look at the lineup for the Direwolves. Rusty, save us, please.
Tippies is the top laner, Mir in jungle, Shock mid with Vital and Decoy down in bottom lane, and their coach Kai. And Vital had a pretty big showing on the Ophelios yesterday in a very long game, I think it's fair to say.
Longest game of the OPL, Direwolves were able to pick up the grudge match versus Pentanet.gg. They want to make it back-to-back 2-0s, now sitting at 6-3. If they can make it 7-3, they are 2 games away from Legacy and definitely have cemented themselves as the 3rd best team in the region.
They have indeed. All right, it is time to get into game number 2. It is Gravitas versus Direwolves. It is coming at you along with the Macca's Champ Select after this.
The second game of the day, Direwolves taking on Gravitas. 6 wins and 3 losses. And they'll be looking for a back-to-back 2-0 performance. But for Gravitas, the flexing begins in the bottom lane here. Will they have a different idea, identity, and result coming into this one?
Yeah, flexing may begin in the bottom lane for Gravitas. That is the one lane of the Direwolves where there is no flexing at all. They're a very standard duo, it feels like, Vital and Decoy. But the champions the Direwolves can play between the other 3 members does seem to be a bottomless pit. And that is something that I know, having coached those 3 players in the past, they've got a deep champion pool. They always have. And it sometimes becomes one of those things that no matter the team, you never know where they're going to go with their champions of choice. Nevertheless, Gravitas are the underdogs in this one. Direwolves just pushing for a 7-3 scoreline. It would definitely be an upset if Direwolves were to lose this.
It would be indeed. Looks like the lobby there is just broken, so we'll wait for that one to get reset. One thing that's interesting to note about the last time these 2 teams came up against each other, Shock actually busted out the Victor. He busted out a little bit of creativity there in the mid lane, but Chippy's ran away with the game, really. He was the stand-up performer on that Camille in the side lane pressure.
Into Poppy, was it?
He went up against nobody who played Ornn.
Yeah, so he just had a keyboard issue, couldn't select one of the champions, so we're just going to remake the champion select, no doubt, and we'll be back with that very soon. Hopefully that keyboard starts working. We get to wait for the draft once again. And I do think that the point you raise in the last time that these 2 teams faced each other, Skimmy, the fact that Chippies is able to win through split pushing, and I think the most important thing of that is that Gravitas were always picking Ornn. Always. Picking Ornn.
Religiously.
And there are certain teams that I would say in the OPL where you can't do that as safely unless you can flex the Ornn as other teams. And I think that your Legacy has proven that they're an example of that, having the Kale that M&S plays into it every single time. I think that Chippies, you know, is a player that has like the Camille, and that starts to run away with the game. And I think there's a lot of risks doing things like that against a team like the Direwolves.
I think the major talking point for me here, for the Gravitas, is we need to see a strong performance coming out of Pralus. He's kind of lost himself in these last few games. You're expecting always big results and big performances coming out from him. We've seen what can happen when he's able to get himself online quite early, able to assist those side lanes and transition him into a mid-game where it doesn't look so one-sided.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but at the same time, you have to look at the champions that he's been playing in a lot of the more recent games where they have been losing. Last game, forced on Jarvan duty, forced to being a tank. Not going to be able to do the damage that he can on other champions. And didn't really have the resources that he often gets. You know, likes that Echo and was able to carry with it. Has played it more than once and seemed decent. Lee Sin. He had a very good Lee Sin game when he was able to pick that champion. But at the same time, when you go back to Jarvan duty and you have champions like Lee Sin being banned by your own team because Mir's so good on it, that champion pool does get limited in the jungle role.
There you talk about it. Ornn denied away, so Gravitas can't flex into it. Echo, as you touched on, denied too. And LeBlanc to make sure Seaman is unable to try and flex some aggression. Interesting to see that Gravitas are actually denying some of Pralus's most played champions. Olaf is #1 in this split, so he may have something spicy lined up for this matchup.
Yeah, maybe we'll do. Of course, no surprises that if you're going to ban Olaf, Cassiopeia, and Lee Sin, you're going to leave Aphelios up. Well, they're going to pick Aphelios. It just goes without saying. Vital had a pretty good showing on the champion in their last game. 50 minutes in, there was It's very clear to me that the flamethrower is such a good late game item the more that you watched it go 1,300 crits that hits an entire wave. Now we get to see where Gravitas go in response, because I do think that giving that pick away is risky. Now that it's been proven above and beyond the best AD champion right now, for sure. One of the most picked champions and with a very high win rate. So you have to have something prepared. If it's an Ezreal Yuumi, maybe, but you've already banned the Olaf away from that potential comp, so.
And it carries that narrative on that much further, right? You know, you're denying so many jungles, putting so much priority in that regard of the map that yes, Aphelios is online. Mordekaiser, a potential response in that 2-pick response for the Gravitas lineup, the 7-second stun that comes out from the Death Realm. So if they can try and get some kills within that window, that's an opportunity for them to try and run with.
Makes you wonder if Chippies would play something like the Gangplank. I think it's possible, actually. You know, we haven't seen a lot of GP, but one of those matchups where it just works. Shock maybe defaulting back to his most comfortable champion as well. It seems like they wanted to buy some more time to think about it first, as they went for the Nautilus as a last second swap to that pick, and they've picked the bottom lane here now, Direwolves. Secured themselves the Nautilus and Aphelios, and lots of good kill threat down there for any jungler to come towards, whether it's an Elise style jungler from Mir or a farm style jungler. We saw the Silas from him. It's entirely possible that they look for kill threat where they're strong.
Plenty of kill threat in that bottom lane, as you highlight, from a very strong bottom lane. Shock quite comfortable on the Syndra as well, one that really comes into its own at level 6 when you can just pretty much one-shot them. Always a good time. I've just been looking at the 10.4 patch notes, Rusty. Is there a world in which we see Mordekaiser jungle?
I mean, Mordekaiser has always kind of been able to. I don't think we will, but we might. You know, I never want to say it's impossible. I would say don't expect it.
I want to see something crazy. There has to be a game plan here to allow Direwolves to get so many comfort champions online this early on. Chippies.
They're still red side. They still have the counter to whatever they see from their opponents. Direwolves also held their jungle pick. And yes, with all of these top lane champions taken away from Chippies, makes you wonder if that Mordekaiser is actually perhaps a mid laner. This 4th pick is going towards the beats in the top lane, whatever it may be.
Heavy priority towards the top side. 4 bans in the second rotation. Gravitas now will have that advantage. Well, being able to save that last pick to last.
Like, this, to me, I would pick Zed, like, if I'm being honest. For Suman. Maybe not the best choice, but you're into a Syndra, and they've banned away a whole bunch of champions from Suman. He could do something like the Lissandra. He's done it before. He could be the one playing the Mordekaiser for all we know. Praelis has very clearly gone for the hyper carry champion of Sejuani. So that's maybe not ideal for Mr. Fernandez there if he wants to be carrying for the team. He's more so going to be enabling the team. What Gravitas have done here, Skimmy, is they've picked a really good composition with a Braum and a Sedge working in tandem. They have a lot of crowd control. They've got an auto attack based ADC right now. Ezreal with the Q can also help proc those Braum stuns. They have the choice now of something like this set, which has been taken by Direwolves. Would be a very nice last pick here for Gravitas. Something melee for the Sedge, something that can auto attack for the Braum. Could round out the composition nicely. They have engaged, so they really just need damage.
As you highlight, Gravitas have a lot of reliable engage right now. A lot of slows, a lot of stuns, a lot of freedom for beats to feel quite protected.
Oh.
They are posturing the fiddlesticks. Now, K-Pop has been one quite known to flex it up in that bottom lane. He's showcased what he can do.
We'll see where that Lesion goes. I'd expect Siemens going to be the one playing that, and we'll have Beats playing Mordekaiser in top lane. I think there was a couple of other options potentially there for Gravitas. The Yasuo, I think, is actually a decent one. It doesn't look like that was banned by any means. And into the Syndra, you have the Sejuani. I actually wouldn't mind that duo. But we don't really know the great extent of Siemens' champion pool. And he's gone for the aggressive Ignite Lucian option, where he just wants to control his mid laner in the 1v1. Definitely has kill threat. By no means a bad choice. Just not a melee champion to work with the Sejuani.
Double AD carry. Flashbacks to Direwolves right now as to what happened when they went up last night. Miru has already played that Silas once, the split. Was able to get a win with that one with a 14-0 KDA. It's an impressive showing. Do Gravitas, Rusty, do you think with what they've drafted here in the elements of control and ranged attack have enough to throw Direwolves off this comfort?
I think that, like, realistically the answer is no. They haven't made Direwolves uncomfortable by any means. I think that all of them are very comfortable with, first of all, the champions that they've picked. And then I think with their individual matchups, there may be like some small concerns here and there, such as perhaps the mid lane. And Silas is one of those champions that kind of becomes Sejuani light, particularly once you hit level 6 and you can throw the Sejuani ultimate back at people. I think there is definitely windows, definitely moments where the Gravitas roster may be stronger just by the champions.
Kai, welcome.
What up?
First of all, I suppose, how did the boys feel after last night?
Yeah, like it was good. It was not as clean as we would have liked. I reckon we could have ended at the 21-minute mark, or if we decided not to end there, we definitely could have like confirmed it at 24. But you know, you take those risks as you're growing in a split. Like you're never really afraid to lose that game. Pentanet can't beat us. Like, doesn't matter.
It does seem to me that there is a lot of confidence coming out of the Direwolves camp lately after the 2-0 week as well. You know, Chippies and Shock both spoken confidently about the performance. Is this for you guys just being experienced players, hitting the middle of the split, you're just finding your stride, where a lot of other teams start to find some moments where they're struggling?
To a degree, it's more like our lessons are coming through now. So like what me and like Cupcake have been teaching and like the players have been working on is really starting to show through on stage. It also happens when you kind of just demolish every team in scrims. So it's just like, we know how good we can play. We know how far the gap actually is. So it's, you know, just get it on stage now, boys. That's about it.
Is Cupcake still with you guys in Sydney?
He's not in Sydney at the moment, but he still coaches us remotely and is, you know, a big help, and he'll come back around finals.
Do you think there is, without revealing too much, of course, there is a degree or maybe even a secret behind able to replicate your scrim performances actually in games?
Yeah, so a lot of it is like just how I teach them, making sure that they're prepared for everything. So I'm just kind of watching the play here.
Right.
But like, yeah, it's just making sure that they're prepared, they know, and that they're encouraged that, you know, this is what it's meant to be, and game day is no real different from scrims once you're in the map. And that's all I need to encourage them on. And then it's just actually doing it. It's taking that next step to go and do things like this, where you will just invade in 2. So he's having a bit of a giggle.
He's having a good time. It looks like exactly what you're saying is what I'm seeing right now. They're giggling, they're laughing. They've already got 2 kills at the 2-minute mark. Kai, it's looking fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's just, this is something we worked on all week as well. So it's like, it's great to see it come out, and the guys will be happy once they get back, and they'll be like, see, we actually did it. See, we did it.
And they did it into a Braum.
Into a brawl.
Well, I wish you all the best of luck. We're going to jump into this one and see if you guys can get back-to-back 2-0 weeks.
Thank you very much. Have a good cast.
Direwolves take on Gravitas to cement themselves as the top 3 team in the OPL.
Hard to ask questions, Skibby, when there's a fight happening like that at level 1.
It's always the risk you take, right, during the start of a game.
It's also impossible for a coach to answer a question. Like, to be honest, I know that he was answering, and even I was just like, what's happening on the screen?
We put him under the gun.
And it hit a point where even Kai was like, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm saying words, but I'm definitely not. Because I'm just watching what's happening in this game. And so, we have an invade from Direwolves. They don't get the red buff. Beats actually gets it somehow between 2 smites. And so no jungler got level 2. But then Mir, of course, started E, and Prelith flashed over the wall, so he was always going to die. And then they get the red buff onto Chippies after all of that. So this is, as far as starts go, wonderful.
And it's such a difference from what we saw in the first 4 weeks of the OPL, right? With the standard 5-man, with a 10-man, if you will, at scouting of the lanes. Nobody wanting to take risks, but it feels like teams, as Kai mentioned, are starting to get a little bit more comfortable, able to replicate their scrims on the stage and showcase, hey, look, we're not afraid of you. We can perform. And one member to keep in mind, obviously, we talk about how impressive Chippies has been with, you know, the 100% kill participation and the red buff. That lane becomes incredibly scary. This is the dream start.
Yeah, absolutely the dream start for them as well. And not to mention their bot lane very good at being self-sustaining, having the Aphelios and the Nautilus. Very difficult to kill that lane. Mid lane, we spoke about it already. It's not going to be the cleanse for Shocky. Changes to teleport just before we get into the game, so we missed that transition. That does help a little bit in the lane. You'll cop a lot of damage. There's definitely moments where a Lucian can outplay you. Speaking of copping damage, K-pop is going to do exactly that. But for this mid lane matchup, clearly going very well. And that does help, of course, that your jungler doesn't have any control of the map at level 1. Seaman has to be more respectful. But that's a pretty big CS lead.
Very early on to this one. Lucian falling a little bit behind. K-pop taking a massive beating, forced to burn through many
We're talking about
of his
beatings.
potions.
Chippy's just with the health advantage in this lane is keeping Beats at bay. The coach of Gravitas has called him an auto-field player a couple of times there as well. You start to feel for Beats at a certain point.
do.
It's, uh-oh.
Dive will start messing around. It's the 5-minute dive onto bot lane. They look to exploit K-pop and that low health pool. No resources, no chance to disengage. Shock once, he does have flash available. He burns it for the AWP. He picks up a double kill. 5 minutes in, Rusty. This game has exploded.
This is looking like a spanking. We're 5 minutes in and the gold lead is way too much. Couple of plates taken in bottom lane as well. Teleport was used by Beats to go back towards top lane, but even he is down the kill from level 1. And when Chippies gets a chance to shop himself, the item difference will be noticeable. It was just an amp tome and some brown bags there for Beats. This is the beginning of a disaster for Gravitas, and it could be 2 in a row.
Arguably a much stronger opponent, but just look how they juggle this aggro and start things up here.
Yeah, Decoy should always start the aggro off here. He's the aftershock user, so he can sustain an extra turret shot. And in the time that he is tanking that, they don't even need to transition that aggro to anyone else. The flash forwards there from Shock. Almost impossible to dodge when the Syndra flashes. Gets rid of all semblance of animations. Blocks you down. There's that second kill for free.
The fight takes place in the top lane as Chippies is the first one to reach that ultimate. Looking for Beats, giving him the left and the right. The boxing moves are there.
Yeah, gives him the good night as well.
Going to crash a sizable wave into this turret as well. Not going to pick up any turret plates, but he has so much gold right now.
Yeah, the rest of Gravitas was actually missing. So Chippies could have been greedy, could have stayed for plates, but he has no idea where Praelus and Suman are. And so a very respectful decision there from the top laner of the Dials. We'll go back to base, we'll reset. And once again, that advantage that he had from the teleport back up into the top lane, I mean, immediately gets a kill with it. Like we were talking about, he'd be so much stronger. And now that gets him so much more. As this is, we're getting towards the shellacking territory, only 6 minutes in.
Gravitas make their first move of the game right now. Suman's going to be looking to try and get things online here with that culling and the ignite. They need one final auto attack to do it, but Decoy's there in quick succession, dodges out the stun that comes from Praelus and lives to tell the tale. Gravitas with the initiative, but unable to find it.
Yeah, great moves there actually from Decoy to be in mid lane. That seems like perhaps just off the reset was moving around the map. He finds himself at the correct place at the correct moment to keep Shock alive, albeit barely. As Praelus is going to take up the fight with this Drake, and I feel like he might die if he doesn't get help from his team. But thankfully, K-pop is there.
Has the fruit behind him, but won't need it. Smite is there. Drake is online.
Yeah, K-pop actually will pick up the fruit, presumably because Praelus wants to reset after this blue buff. May get greedy, go for the Gromp as well, but Smite won't be available for a little while, so we'll see. I think he'll just reset.
Looks like he's donating blue buff to Lucian as he tries to even out this mid lane, which he's done a great job at. Despite being down 2 kills, he was down a little bit of CS, and he's brought that right back.
Yeah, I mean, the way that that lane works is very simple, right? If Syndra uses Q, if it's going on top of you, you dash past it, and you get a double tap straight away, so you just win the trade. Syndra then has to use all of her remaining spells to actually push you away, but if you have kill threat, or if you have summoners up, then it's a kill. It's just a kill. You just have the damage to do that. So at any moment, if Shock wastes more than just his Q, and it's not stunning you away, you just have kill threat. It's just one of those lanes, and he's actually gone for, I want to say it's an unconventional, but it's not really. The lethality Lucian is something that we just haven't often seen, but definitely exists around the world here and there. Just adds to that kill threat on someone who builds no armor early. May have to go for the arm guard rush now, Shock.
Direwolves are unrelenting. Once again, crashing a wave into the top side of this map. Defrom using very effectively here to buy him some time for the rest of his team to respond, but it's only Praelus there, and he's not level 6, so we can't slow him down, but he will do enough to prevent the kill coming out.
Yeah, good target selection there in the end. By Beats getting rid of the Syndra after the burst had been put out by him. The no-kill going to go through. Praylist trying to keep Chippies away from the turret, but it doesn't work like that, as he's just going to die for his trouble. Beats also needs to show some respect.
He's got flash, but he really should not be standing by this tower. He's got the shield online. He's trying to utilize the tower to its absolute extreme.
Oh, geez.
The flash comes out. Chippy's using the haymaker, just flexing on his counterpart here.
And there you go, Direwolves, they pick their fights. They are pushing themselves to the limits. Mid lane in a lot of trouble as well. Human most likely just going to go down there, and Decoy comes in to secure that one. Yeah, we are pretty much tearing apart Gravitas all over Summoner's Rift at the same time.
It's a massive blowout, only 10 minutes into this game, a 6k gold difference. We're talking 2 to 3 major items in economy as a difference right now. And the question really comes back to you here, Rusty, as to, is there a situation, a world in which Gravitas can find a desirable team fight? Are they waiting for a major power spike in a particular item and then say, look, this is our do or die moment? Or are Direwolves just simply too far ahead at this stage?
Oh, I mean, that's a... What kind of answer do you want? Is, like, is there a way back into this game? If this was scrims, I would be forfeiting. I'd put it that way.
That says it all.
But, I mean, what could they look for in this game? Praylist is now 6. Beats is always potentially relevant with his ultimate. Mid lane has Ignite, so if ever there was a place to go towards, I think what you would do is maybe go hunting for shutdown gold. And there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
So just like hunting for picks. And if you trade, that's okay, because they're worth more gold than you. I think that's your only option, really, right now.
It's not a bad answer. But will Direwolves give them that opportunity as they are setting up just that?
Like again, Shock doesn't have his armor purchased. If he's going for the Seeker's Arm Guard, it doesn't seem like he is prioritizing rushing that armor, and he's against a lethality opponent.
Hang on a minute though, Chippies is doing the exact same. The ultimate with some Praylist to initiate. Chippies comes in from the side right now as Teleport initiates. They want Shock, they want shutdowns, but they will get shut down as soon as the first to fall. Chippies is there in the Death Realm. He's not actually. I even thought it was on, but they don't even use it in that exchange. And Direwolves exerting their pressure in their mid lane, saying if you try to gank us, knowing that is your win condition, your chance to get back in, we'll just respond, but better.
Yeah, and amazing stuff by Chippies to be in the correct place. He doesn't have a turret that he needs to stand near in top lane. He's actually got a lot of freedom, and they didn't flip the map. They didn't bring the bot lane entirely up here. They've kept Vital down in bot lane to farm and takes down the turret while we're speaking. Chippies just comes in to secure Shock's life, keep him alive, and Gravitas, the roaming death ball, it's really just a hug squad. I couldn't think of anything better to say. There's a free hug squad now.
And it's a high risk, high reward strategy, right? Yes, you'll be very strong if you can net the kills that can be found from those roams, but the more you do it, the more XP you're losing.
They know that he's not there, which means he's going to show.
Direwolves understand this, and they set themselves up their own hug squad, as you mentioned.
No, they're a kill squad. It's Direwolves.
They're not cuddly bears. They're definitely not deadly koalas.
And Gravitas are the poison frogs. No matter what they do against the koalas, they just get clawed down. Is that what?
I don't even know who actually truly wins. We had to look it up. I'm sure there's somebody online that said this.
Hey, like I said before, the answer is just the viewers.
They do a song and dance in the jungle. They turn their attention now to the Drake. Ocean Drake off. What kind of rift are we going to get? Infernal Rift on the map.
Oh, like they needed that. Of course, Gravitas having a Drake will be the saving grace. Buys extra time for a soul to exist.
In a comp that arguably is incredibly strong when it pressures its R button.
Gravitas?
Yeah.
Yeah. They won't mind having that cooldown, but I think that the real win is that it takes one extra rotation of Drakes to even get closer to the soul, so it's another 5 minutes worth of game time they've bought for themselves. That's the only real silver lining that exists in this one. No teleport for Shock, so him sitting in a side lane is not going to be assisting the team. Chippies, though, has a Trinity Force. He's against a magic resistance opponent there in Simon, if he was going to hunt for it. But I think not having that flash means that he wasn't able to close the distance.
That may be the quickest Trinity Force we've seen completed to date. Every single bounty member on this roster is incredibly fed.
Game sense correct here from Chippies. If you're a League of Legends player and a Lucian who is 0-2 with a Hex Drinker is running you down, something's wrong.
It means something.
Something's up, something fishy. And so now they're going to look towards Chippies. Can they dive the set?
He's going to have to play this one quite well to ensure that he can survive. He starts it off by bringing him together. He gets the shield, he flashes out, he's juggling aggro. They go golden, he goes slam dunk. He does get one in the end. There were a few minions at the tower that prevented switching across to another member.
And I mean, they kind of do what I said, is they get a shutdown. They get 400 extra gold on the kill. That was effectively a 1-for-1. If we pretend that mid lane turrets never died and that Herald isn't also being traded. They put some extra numbers next to their scoreline. We take those.
I feel like a situation when you take one step forward but 15 back.
Pretty much. A bunch of goose eggs in the scoreline is never good to see.
Just as well, Spawn's not here. Probably just interject with some honk. "15 minutes in, and it's been everything Direwolves in this game so far. 10 kills to 1, 10k gold up. 10 may be the magic number for these boys, as they are all level 10.
What a statement so far as well from the Direwolves, putting themselves in contention for the top 3 spot. They said it themselves before this week started, and very clearly they have been proving it as if at first you succeed, give it another go.
They are definitely targeting Chippies. They really want to try and tilt him. A lot of resources being burnt. As long as Direwolves can find advantages on other lanes.
I mean, it goes without saying, Chippies probably didn't need to push that far forward. Maybe didn't expect them to pull the exact same stunt twice, but it's not broken, don't fix it. They make it work a second time. Of course, it doesn't give them any extra shutdown gold, but that's just a raw kill for nothing. We take those.
These are the picks that Gravitas needs.
There's a Rylai's rush. Mordekaiser as well.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
That's all I have to say on the matter.
I was waiting for a follow-up,
Yeah, usually I would.
but I sensed the sense of, is that disappointment there, Rusty?
Oh, I mean, let's just see how the Rylai's go.
Let's see.
It will-
Defram goes off on the decoy right now as he's locked in place, hanging on the outskirts, hanging on the edge. He's got members of support ready to support as he jumps on out. Ultimate's being burnt to try and target Vital, that key member on Avilios. They just do not have the damage given how far behind they are.
Yeah, they can't really threaten too much. Direwolves are just, they're playing overly aggressive oftentimes now, and they have enough lead to do that. We're getting close to 10,000 gold 17 minutes in, you know? Like, we're past the point of no return for this early in the game to be this far ahead. We're just really waiting for, like, what is the moment that the Direwolves group up as 5 or force something as 5? It's their opponent team composition is kind of difficult to dive, even with this lead. The cost might be high, and maybe that's not worth it because you can just take small advantages constantly and get small leads constantly and just win the game.
But Decoy, Gravitas are playing that vision game right now. They've been hanging as a group. This time it bites back on them. Beats jumps in with the teleport, trying to find as many members as possible. Drake spawning at the exact time for them. There's action in the pit, there's action by the camp. They look to get out Vital, Belong incredibly healthy. Everybody on Direwolves is low right now, but Mir is that sole survivor. He's healthy, and he's the one that comes from behind. He flanks, he destroys, he gets a triple kill.
Mir's just putting in work. The rest of the team barely surviving. They scrape away with the smallest of health, but they keep every single shutdown there. No gold going into the pockets of Gravitas. Triple kill for Mir. And suddenly that 10,000 gold difference that we were almost at is 11.
It really does feel like it's been Mir's game today. He's commanded it from the very first second he stepped onto this rift.
Is there something more extreme than a shellacking? Like, this is At a certain point, I suspect that the Direwolves are just trying to get the largest gold lead humanly possible before ending a game.
Oh, they're threatening an inhibitor at only 20 minutes into this one. This will take little to no time to fall on down as the Herald makes an appearance.
Ezreal ultimate goes back in their faces and rocks Human's health bar.
Wow, even a Nexus turret took a headbutt.
And now Baron is getting closer and closer to spawning. So we'll see how this started again. Chippies was once again the port of call for Gravitas to focus, but his team was here, the reinforcements were available. Mira's also using the Mordekaiser ultimate to lock down Praelis. So you lose track of where he is pretty easily if you were the opposing team. Look how close they are to getting these kills. Very easy to get distracted. And then suddenly, from over the Drake pit, Shia LaBeouf rocks up. Mid just locks them all down. Very easy.
I like that reference.
Shia LaBeouf.
Drawn into a choke spot. And Direwolves live to tell the tale. No bounties lost. Miru only building his that much further. Baron, quite honestly, not that necessary given how far ahead they are.
Yeah, but it would extend their gold lead, and I think that's the game plan. I mean, they're just so far ahead.
They're definitely warding for
If
Baron.
they wanted, they could just put 5 people top lane, control the red side jungle, or even 4-1 with someone in mid, and just win.
Hook doesn't land there, but the stun follow-up from Syndra does.
They're trying to keep Gravitas out of the correct side of the map. They're strong enough to try and force them, body them out.
Beats is forced to defend right now, but
Chippies
doesn't
has
have
a flank.
teleport.
And Chippy's on this flank and finds Human. There you go.
Instantly onto Lucian, not going to have that splash damage online, but it doesn't really matter, quite honestly. The depth charge from down under. Heading on to 2. The follow-up isn't near Vital on his own, saying, oh, look, I'm just going to push top lane. As Beats still resigned to base defense duties.
With a lead this large, Baron is just a gateway to giving your opponents a chance, and why bother? They're pushing top lane. Vital set that one up. Supers are now crashing bot as well. They're going to threaten what was already a Herald-attacked turret. And Chippies is mid. This will just be triple inhibs most likely, unless Gravitas finds something. Pull the trigger. Praelis has ult. It's really the only thing you can look at.
Second inhibitor falls on down. Mid-wave crashes in perfectly too.
That
The
Super's going to
timing,
take the turrets. That
It's
Nexus.
impeccable.
Nexus are dying. Something's got to go.
Someone does have to go, and it's going to be Beats that has to go because he's going to fall on down. Turrets are falling. The Nexus turret, the second one to go. And Direwolves, they want 2-0s. They get 2-0s. They destroy their opponents. They cement themselves as the third best team in this league. They kill you in your fountain. They won't end the game. They are flexing their strength as they are the victors here today.
And they make it look easy. That's the thing with Direwolves in this game. From level 1 with their invade, they get the lead. And they've proven once again that when they get those leads, they're much more aggressive through the middle of this split, where they were timid at the start. They were slow, they were much more methodical. They tried to play things out, sometimes too calmly. But this is a whole different beast as they're transitioning small leads into big leads. And then they play calm League of Legends. They know when to slow it back down. And they just hand it to Gravitas. No problems whatsoever.
Definitely displaying the disconnect between the top and bottom of this league right now in the OPL. Smiles all around for the boys. Impressive in solo queue and impressive in this game are the Direwolves. Back-to-back 2-0s, a nice storyline for them to carry on with. And for Gravitas, the experiments continue. They sub out Puma in that bottom lane. Unable to find any form of magic with Prowler filling in for him.
Yeah, and Beat's also shown how to play top lane in this one. Something fierce by Chippies. Lots of chaos happens at level 1, and sometimes it's hard to play those off rolls when things happen that early.
I want to dissect that game down, and for the post-game interview, let's throw it back to the couch.
A crushing.
Yeah, to dissect that game, that was a shellacking.
Yeah.
That was, whew, if you're a Gravitas fan, that's
not
tough
anymore.
to watch. No, Nick, that's not how bandwagoning works.
Bad Nick. No,
Bad
you
Nick,
stick
bad
with the
Nick.
team.
Stick with the team.
Hey, I follow the Lakers. We know all about just
Buying
crushing
talent.
years.
Sorry. Yeah. Miss
that
where
too.
you were going with that.
Too,
But
too.
yeah. No, but I mean, I think it's so hard when you are a team that on paper look like you're going to be on the back foot initially, right? And then I think they got a worse draft.
Yep.
And then I also think that the level 1 went really bad. So at that point, you're kind of like, well, individually, we're always going to struggle with this. Our coach didn't really do us all that many favors in pick ban phase. You know, we have a Sejuani into a Silas jungle. We have, you know, Mordekaiser into set. Like, all these matchups aren't all that great. And then, like, you lose 2 kills at level 1 and your top laner splash. So you knew that game was going to be super rough. And credit to Direwolves, when they're ahead, they're one of the most aggressive teams in the league. They definitely smell blood. And I think they crushed them that game.
I think it was a major crushing, a satisfying 2-0 for you guys this weekend, Shock.
Yep, feels good.
There was like no love lost in that game. I feel like you finished on the couch yesterday, filled with fire, walked out of the building, didn't sleep, got angry, came in and just ruined.
I'd say, yeah, somewhat. Like yesterday, I think our draft was a bit too passive and didn't really like suit our play style that much. So today we just picked aggressively and kind of didn't care about what they would pick. We just like picked what we were really good at, and I think that paid off for us. Yeah.
And talk to me about that mindset, because if a team does have that mindset of, you know, stuff the meta, stuff what everyone else in the OPL is doing, like we're not really interested in this team fighting mumbo jumbo. We're going to play heavily for lane. We're going to play heavily for map. Is that like something that you guys really buy into and believe in, the Direwolves?
I think like our mindset is that we want to like attack and take away the enemy's strengths and then play our strengths rather than like focusing on our comp countering their weakness more so. So yeah, I guess it just makes sure we're on comfort and they're not on comfort, hopefully. And I think, yeah, that just kind of leads us to playing what we're good at and our style. And
now you guys have picked up 4 games back to back to back to back. And you guys are sitting there like real pretty at 7-3, right? I think there's like 3 games between you guys in 4th place or something like that at the moment. What do you think it is to take to like break into that top 2 mark? Or do you guys think you're there, but you just, you know, lost a couple of games early in the season?
I think those teams, Legacy and Chiefs, are still a little bit better than us on stage. I think in scrims, normally we have good results, but on stage they've definitely like been more composed and had better drafts than us. So I think for us, it's like working out what we want to play specifically against them and having like longer term preparation. And I think we will, by the time like best of 5s come around, I think we'll be on that level or above them. Yeah.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, so that's good.
Yeah,
that feels
absolutely.
like the good prep to do. Good luck with that, and
Thank you.
congratulations on the win. We'll be back right after this break.
Around. It's the 5-minute dive onto bot lane. They look to exploit K-pop and that low health pool. No resources. Once he does have flash available, he burns it for the orb. He picks up a double kill. Chippies is doing the exact same. The ultimate whiffs from Prellis to initiate. Chippies comes in from the side right now. As teleport initiates, they want shock, they want shutdowns, but they will get shut down. Gravitas are playing that vision game right now. They've been hanging as a crew. This time it bites back on them. Beats jumps in with the teleport, trying to find as many members as possible. Drake spawning at the exact time for them. There's action in the pit, there's action by the camp. They look to get out Vital, Belong incredibly healthy. Everybody on Direwolves is low right now, but Mir is that sole survivor. He's healthy, and he's the one that comes from behind. Someone does have to go, and it's going to be Beats that has to go because he's going to fall on down. Turrets are falling. The Nexus turret, the second one to go. And Direwolves, they want 2-0s. They get 2-0s. They destroy their opponents. They are flexing their strength as they are the victors here today.
Feeling the heat? Grab a pineapple or pineberry frozen Fanta mix at Macca's. With 36 flavours, it's the largest range in Australia. Grab one for only $1. A little goes a long way at Macca's.